Hey guys, welcome back to All Houseplants. My name is Stephanie, and today we're going to do a species profile about peace lilies, or Spathiphyllum. I wanted to go ahead and do this video today because all three of my peace lilies are in bloom. Right here, I have my platinum mist peace lily in a 12-inch pot, and right here, I have my peace lily sensation in a 20-inch pot. I have a second peace lily sensation and another 20-inch pot in my bedroom. That's the one that's that's leggy. So peace lilies are members of a family called Araceae, and the plants in this family are flowering plants, and the characteristic flower is called a spadix. A spadix is this pointy part right here. The spadix is surrounded by a spathe. That's this white portion right here. The spadix and the spathe make up the flower. And the spathe is actually a modified leaf. It's not truly a petal. Peace lilies are rhizomatous plants, and they spread underground via rhizome. They are from the rainforests in Venezuela and Colombia, and they live in the understory, which means that they get a lot of shade, they get a lot of rain, and they get a lot of humidity. Because of where they live naturally, peace lilies are low light houseplants, meaning that they can thrive in low light conditions. However, if you want a peace lily to bloom prolifically, I do not recommend low light conditions. I recommend medium to high light conditions. That being that plants need light to bloom. Flowers take energy to be produced. My peace lilies, this platinum mist, lives in a south-facing window about 10 feet back from the window. Honestly, it could use a little more light. This sensation peace lily lives directly in a south window right in front of my patio door. And honestly, that one wants more light too. Keep in mind, I live in northern Ohio, so I don't live in Florida or Arizona, someplace that gets a lot of sun. Northern Ohio has a lot of overcast days, a lot of rain. So my peace lilies live in south and southern exposures. Peace lilies do well in average room temperature conditions. The official temperature range for these plants is anywhere from 68 to 80 degrees. Avoid anything less than 45 degrees. So if you're buying a plant in the wintertime, or if you're repotting something in the spring or fall, do not take it outside if it's less than 45 degrees, or the plant's going to get damaged very quickly. Watering. These plants are thirsty. They grow in the rainforest. It's wet in the rainforest. They like a peaty soil. So I use a store-bought, regular, run-of-the-mill houseplant mix, and I do water once a week. They also like to be kept evenly moist, so they don't like to dry out completely and then get totally soaked and then get super dry and then be totally soaked again. They want to stay evenly moist, and they want to have, a water content to the soil. If peace lilies are being overwatered, they will get a brown leaf tip, and we'll go into that a little more later. If they're getting underwatered, they're going to droop, and they're going to sag, and they're going to look dead. And again, we'll get into that a little more later. So key to watering a peace lily is evenly moist, and if you're a heavy-handed waterer like I am, this could be a plant for you. So keep that in mind. Fertilizer. Peace lilies, I find, are also hungry. If you want the plant to bloom, you need to feed it. The kind of fertilizer you want to use is something for flowering plants, something with a higher phosphorus content. Phosphorus is the middle number. So a fertilizer will have three numbers, N, P, K. N is for nitrogen, P is for phosphorus, K is for potassium. Plants need phosphorus to flower, so make it easy on yourselves and just buy something for flowering plants. And I fertilize my peace lilies about once a month during the growing season, starting sometime in March and ending sometime in September. They don't need to be they don't need to be fertilized in the winter time because there's a lot less light. You don't want to over fertilize and cause leaf burn. Humidity. Peace lilies do not need too much humidity. They're used to humidity. They come from the rainforest, but I find that mine do well in average household humidity. I don't use a humidifier, but again, I do live in Northern Ohio. Our humidity throughout the year is anywhere from 40% in the wintertime, and I do have a humidifier attached to my climate control in my house, to 90% in the summertime, so it is pretty high. So if you are someone that lives in the desert or somewhere where there's less humidity, you may need a humidifier for a peace lily, but I don't, and I find that they do well in normal household conditions. Pests. Peace lilies are relatively pest-free. The only pests I have ever had, I've had on these Sensation peace lilies, and they had a couple of scale when I got them from the store. No spider mites, no aphids, no mealybugs, no thrips, none of that, for me at least. I've never experienced pests that have moved from my other plants to the peace lilies, so relatively pest-free. Propagation. Peace lilies are easy to propagate. As I said earlier, they're a rhizomatous plant, which means that they spread underground via rhizomes. So you'll have the base of the mother plant, and from that base, a pup will come off. You can either take sharp scissors, a sharp knife, or if it's a small pup, your fingers, and just snap it off. Make sure that it has roots, and then place that baby in a pot. If your peace lily is getting too big, you can divide it. Just take it out of the pot, split it down the middle or into thirds or quarters or however you want to split it. Sell the other half, throw it away, give it to a friend, sell it on the internet, anything like that. And then you can repot the smaller portion back into the original pot with fresh soil. That's the easiest way to keep your peace lily a manageable size. If you're taking really good care of your peace lily, it'll get huge and it'll continue to expand both in height and in width. So propagation is really very easy. Just wait until it gets big and fat around the base and then just break a chunk of it off. Now, common questions and issues. I did mention the brown leaf tips. So brown leaf tips are something that happens when peace lilies are being overwatered. The internet will tell you that it's too much fertilizer, it's not enough humidity, it's sunburn, it's this, it's that. 9 times out of 10, if your leaf tips are brown, you are watering it too much. And this is what a brown leaf tip looks like. So, if your peace lilies have that, you're watering it too much. The soil is too soggy, it's retaining too much water, it doesn't have a drainage hole in the bottom of your pot. Whatever the issue is, there's too much water. The peace lily is in too low a light for how much water you want to give it. Water is outweighing what the peace lily can use, so the tips of the leaves are turning brown. The simple solution is check your soil. If it's wet, repot the plant. Make sure that there's drainage. If you use a pot without a drainage hole, lighten up on the watering. There's no way to salvage these leaves, so if you have a lot of brown leaves, just go ahead and cut them off and then lighten up on your watering, and you will find that with less water, then the new growth will come in without brown leaf tips. Now, if you're sure that you're watering correctly, the soil is draining, it's not overly wet, the peace lily is thriving, and you still have brown tips, then you can look into these other causes. Over-fertilization being the most likely. Make sure that your fertilizer isn't too concentrated, or if you use a chemical fertilizer or a non-organic fertilizer, it could be burning the plant. So just make sure that your fertilizer is on point. I have never found my peace lilies to have sunburn or to have leaf damage from low humidity or not enough humidity, so I can't really speak to those claims or problems. Whenever my plants have brown leaf tips, my watering is not on point. So that would be my recommendation for you to do first and foremost. On the flip side, if your peace lilies have yellow leaves, this is due to underwatering. So when peace lilies don't get enough water, they get very dramatic. The leaves all bend down, they droop, the plant looks dead, it looks like it belongs on the clearance rack at Lowe's. Don't freak out, give it some water, give it the afternoon, give it till the next day. Usually it perks right back up. This is very common for peace lilies to be drama queens. Now, they will tell you when they need water by drooping. They don't like it. So if you're shooting for the best care for a peace lily, do not allow them to droop. If they're drooping, they're screaming at you for water. Best case scenario, you get onto a maintenance schedule and you know when they need water. If you allow them to droop a lot, you may find that the leaf tips start to turn brown, or the leaf edges or margins start to get brown spots on the edges, and this happens with inconsistent watering. Fiddly figs do this as well. They complain when you don't give them consistent water and care. Peace lilies will do the same thing. So shoot for consistent watering and to keep the soil evenly moist. And that will be the best way to keep the leaves all nice and green if you're shooting for a perfect and a healthy plant with no damage. Now, I would be remiss if we don't talk about the toxicity of peace lilies. Peace lilies are toxic. All Araceae, peace lilies included, contain a chemical compound called calcium oxalate crystals. And this is what makes them toxic. This is what makes them irritating when you get the sap or the leaf juices on your skin. This is what causes GI upset and difficulty swallowing in people or animals that accidentally eat the plants. So if you have pets or small children that could put any part of a peace lily in their mouth, keep them away from the peace lily or don't buy a peace lily. My dogs don't go near plants, so I can have peace lilies. They don't touch it, they don't go near it, they don't sniff it. They are not interested at all in the plants. Keep in mind that the leaves are not the only part of the plant that is toxic. The pollen is toxic as well. So when the plants are flowering like this, from the spadix here, this pointy part of the flower, pollen will fall onto the plant, onto the ground, onto wherever underneath. The pollen is toxic and contains the calcium oxalate crystals. It's irritating to skin. Don't eat it. Don't swallow it. So make sure that you contain this pollen. Wipe it up, clean it up. Make sure you get it off the leaves from anywhere on the ground. I do this whenever my plants flower. So all of my plants are flowering right now, so I have to make sure that I'm on top of the pollen, again, because of the dogs. So just keep this in mind. If you have pets or small kids and you want to have peace lilies, that they don't go near the plants, that they're able to stay away from the plants, or that the plants are in a place where they're inaccessible to the pets or the children. Lastly, sometimes peace lily flowers turn green. Now, in some instances, this is normal, but if the flowers are turning green less than a week after blooming, this is not normal. What that means is the plant isn't getting enough light. Remember, the spathe, the white part of the leaf, the white part of the flower here, is a modified leaf. So if the spathe is turning green, the leaf is reverting back to green, meaning it's unable to live a life where the other leaves take care of it and feed it. The plant is asking it to work and earn its keep. So if your blooms are turning green, chances are the plant's not getting enough sun. So try to give it a little more sun. The internet will say that it also means too much fertilizer. I have not ever experienced that. As you can see, and I do feed all my peace lilies the same. This flower is white. This flower is white. This flower is white. But in my bedroom, where my leggy peace lily sensation is, the one that's in the north-facing window that does not get enough light, that flower is turning green. This is the green peace lily flower from the one in my bedroom. See how it's turning a pale green already? It's barely been open a week. So, if your flowers are turning green, try placing the peace lily in more light. Keep in mind they will eventually turn green, turn brown, shrivel up, and you can cut them off. This is normal that the flowers will expire, but you should be able to enjoy them for at least a couple weeks to be white and beautiful and erect. So if that's not happening, try more light. If you're sure it's getting enough light and your plant has multiple blooms, then you can look into a fertilizer issue. But have light be your number one thing that you look at if your flowers are turning green. So I think that's it. If you have any comments, suggestions, questions, please leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching today. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing, click the like button. If you want notifications on more content being put out on this channel, click the bell. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys. Bye.